acknowledge and I do want to acknowledge and recognize that we have members of our leadership team. Some are off camera, some are on. We, again, just taking liberties to give introductions about what United Advanced Practice Registered Nurses, UAPRN, who we are. We're an advocacy organization. We're not new. Some of you messaged me after last week's call that you admitted that you were not familiar with UAPRN. So we have been around for 20 years. And although this issue that we're dealing with right now has caused quite a bit of a stir. But just know that UAPRN has been fighting and advocating for APRNs for 20 years. This is one of many fights that we have taken on behalf of the state of Georgia. So we're not new to this. We have done this and we're here to do it again. And we're happy to do so. Just wanted to recognize the board that make up part of the team. We have a Government Relations Council. You'll hear the term GRC. GRC is the advocacy committee that has the heavy lifting, if you will. Our lobbyist, Juliana McConnell, will be speaking shortly. You'll hear from Robin Pingington shortly, and you'll hear from Dr. Witten, and they represent the team that makes up GRC, or Government Relations Council. You'll also be hearing from some of our advisors, to include Dr. Michelle Nelson. She's the past president of UAPRN. She has other hats that she wears, but she remains as an advisor to the organization. So she'll be lending her words of wisdom tonight as well. And we have Dr. Pam Roberts who will also be speaking, and she has a unique position as well. She is certainly an APR in the state of Georgia, but she is the vice president of local tenants, which has a telehealth leg and a very strong advocacy history on behalf of APRs in the state of Georgia. So I wanted to take a few minutes just to kind of lay the foundation of the meeting. The agenda again is posted. Now let's just switch gears for logistics, the way in which our Zoom works. And if you guys have been on our updated 8 Zoom calls throughout the legislative session, is the same platform. You will notice that your mics are muted and your cameras are disabled. That is to allow for the order of the event. In other words, minimizing access for enabling cameras and or the speakers for the audience. But those who are part of leadership will be able to speak. As the meeting progresses, you will hear where we say, with your hands raised, our marketing team who's on standby will unmute or enable your mic. When that time comes, we'll reference that. Now, with that said, if there are questions, we have a chat. The chat is enabled at some point in the meeting, and we will be going through the chat to address questions actively. So, for example, if our lobbyist makes a comment, if one of our presenters offers any content and you have questions, please use the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat and we'll be addressing your questions throughout the meeting. So with the logistics out the way and the introductions out the way, we're going to jump right in. For those, again, I think I just saw some more people just join. Again, the agenda is in the chat and we're going to jump right in. And Juliana, with that, and this is Juliana McConnell, our lobbyist, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, I will have to say that I know that Nancy and Valencia and our GRC team as Nancy mentioned earlier, we have had very little rest in the last 2 weeks, just working days and nights and weekends on this issue. And we're doing everything we possibly can for you to address this issue, and we understand the severity of it, and we have done everything but we are pouring our hearts out when needed. So today, and I will turn it over in just a few minutes, if it's okay, Nancy, to let them give you kind of an update on what all we've been able to accomplish for the last week or so. But I would like to say that I've actually gotten calls today from, number one, from Senator Larry Walker, who is the president pro tem of the Senate currently. And I got a call from his administrative assistant, and she asked me to explain to her, give her, an overview of what has happened and where we stand and what they could do and what the senator could do. And because he is, and that contact also was encouraged by our relationship with our CRNAs, because their legislative director had talked with them, and he asked me would I be willing to talk with them, and had a great conversation with his AA. And so they're actually considering, writing a letter of support from Senator Walker. After I explained, and she said, "Tell me what would be helpful for him to actually put into, such a letter." Then I also got a call from Senator John Kennedy, who is he is no longer a senator, but he is running for lieutenant governor. But his campaign manager wanted to know, because he is certainly aware of being he was the president pro tem, up until this past session when he resigned early to run for lieutenant governor. And they were basically saying they really want to be involved. They want to know what's happening, what's going on. And they asked, after the runoff is week after next, and they said, if they're successful in that runoff, they want to meet with our leadership to find out, exactly what's going on, and understand more about it, and be of help if they can. So and and as like I said, we have not stopped trying to get ready for Thursday. So, and I'm not going to take any more of my time. If something comes up that I'm, that I think about, I'll
Sure.
raise my hand.
Okay, no worries. And again, for those just joining, let me just go ahead and orient the space to the logistics. For those who are just joining, again, thank you for taking the time to join with us. If you were here last week, we're going to be following the same forum. If you are new to us from last week, new meaning to this forum, we're going to be using the next half hour, the first half hour for comments, meaning from our leadership team. Our lobbyists just spoke. We have the leadership from our Government Relation Council. You hear the terms GRC, that's who we're referring to. We have some advisors, Dr. Michelle Nelson, Dr. Pam Orgarbitz, that will also be speaking. And then the last 30 minutes onward, we will be engaging with questions via the chat. The way in which we conduct our Zoom meetings, you will notice that you are disabled, meaning your mic and video is disabled. Our marketing team is going to be on standby. When it's open for questions, we will unmute your mic at that time. But in terms to that, the chat is your place for questions as comments are made and you need clarity or you have something to present. We're asking you to use the chat. So with that, we're going to switch gears. I think the leadership
Hey,
team.
one other thing, Nancy, I don't know if you or whoever will review with everyone that's on here, our meeting last night,
Surely.
and our conversation too about what the Board of Nursing had, the information they had sent to us, to, even though I know we may not, if that was a decision not to send it out to the world, but to let everyone on this meeting tonight
Yes.
know the information. And also, Tara was supposed to be on here, so I don't know, Nancy. It's your
Of
call.
course,
It might
yeah.
even be good to let Tara share with
Of
the
course, yeah, and I
information they
see
got.
Robin's hand. I see Robin, I see your hand. And to answer your question, Juliana, yes, but just to kind of bring everyone up to speed, as Juliana mentioned at the beginning, there has not been probably a moment, certainly not a day, that we have not met and conversed and strategized. But one of those exchanges involved some comments from the Board of Nursing in terms of a reassurance. Letting us know that there had been conversations between the governor's office and the Board of Nursing and the Composite Board, just to let us know that the activities of the Composite Board in terms of being punitive were not going to be unfolding, certainly leading up to the meeting that is this Thursday. We will be getting some full comments as to the logistics for Thursday. I know a lot of you are here because you want some guidance on what will be happening on Thursday. We met about that, and we have since put some social media and also on the UAPRN website postings out. So we'll have the comments to that. But let me just go ahead and address something before I switch it over to Robin and or Dr. Witten. If you are a member of UAPRN, first of all, if you're not a member by now, right? But if you are a member of UAPRN, you get the messages directly from our EMP network. The EMP network is just our platform. If you're on a mailing list, meaning email, then you get messages. So sometimes we hear, how do you contact us? How do you get through? As a member, there's a contact us link that's embedded. So just know that this is built for membership engagement. That is not to say we exclude, because everyone knows UAPR and we're free with our information. We don't limit even meetings like this. You didn't have to be a member to click on the link, that kind of thing. But just know as the conversations and the updates, as we always do, it is through our membership platform. So I always have to put a plug in for the organization. And if nothing else, now is the time. And you guys, if you haven't seen it, I did a video. I think marketing just dropped it in the chat. We have almost 20,000 APRNs in the state of Georgia. 20,000. And that's all four pillars represented: CRNAs, nurse practitioners, midwives, CNSs. And leading up to this composite, and when we do our marketing numbers, we're just shy of 700, maybe 650, 670. We can do better. And the reason why those numbers are important, when Juliana goes to the Capitol, when Robin and her team go to the Capitol, and we're trying to lend our strength and our voice to our APRN community, it's a different presentation when we say we have about 600. Can you imagine if we said we got 20,000 strong, represented by a lobbyist, and we're coming to discuss the business of the APRNs of Georgia? So if you haven't joined, now is your time. So those are the opportunities. I wanted to be able to clarify the communication channel that we use. It is our network through our membership network. We don't exclude persons, but we do tend to lean towards that platform, and certainly put a shout out to our chapter leaders. I know we have some chapter presidents on the call. We have chapters throughout the state, and our chapters are doing the heavy lifting in their local community. So if you're looking for an opportunity to engage and be active, look no further than your local chapters. You guys are all empowered. I said this quite a few times last week. You guys are all empowered. We're an organization that represents the state, but just know you're empowered within your communities as well. So with that, I think I see Robin and Dr. Witten, you guys are ready for your end of the presentation?
Yes, we are. And thank you, Nancy. And we have several guests on, and I would like to introduce the DRC team. There's 180 folks attending right now. I couldn't see if everybody from the team's on.
You have, I know I see Dr. Witten. I saw Lynn, and let's see. And you may have to call him on, and marketing can unmute as you need him to.
Introduce our team, and we have a very active team. We do quite a bit of research, we do quite a bit of outreach, and a lot of preparation for our legislative activity. We have Dr. Lynn Glenn, who's from Augusta. We have Dr. Kelly Wagner, who is from Savannah. We have Lisa Johnson, who represents the North Georgia Mountains. Chandler Padgett down there in Columbus. Jennifer Johnston, who is our large hospital system rep, and we have Valencia Marseille, who is representing the VA. I don't think I missed anybody. I hope I didn't. But a fantastic team. Now, we also have lobbyists that are helping us as well. Juliana is our lead lobbyist, but we have two additional lobbyists that are on the call. That's Wesley Dunn and Michelle Dunn, and they provide quite a bit of support and fantastic relations at the Capitol that they use to our benefit. So thank you both for that. In addition, before we get into the real meat of our discussion, which is going to be Thursday the 4th, right? We're all going to come down to Liberty Plaza while we're at the board meeting to show everybody and fight for APRN practice. We do have two special guests too. We have Tara Taylor, who is the executive director of the Board of Medicine, or Board of Nursing. I apologize, Board of Nursing, and Josh Baston, who is a board member, and he is an APRN and practice owner as well. And if we could unmute their mics so they can share a few words and speak. Brian, if you can find those, Tara Taylor and Josh Baston.
And Robin, who do you want to go first? Do you have a preference for who's presenting first?
It's, Taylor can go. Tara can go first.
Okay.
Yeah. She can introduce Josh. Yeah.
Okay.
While we're are you there?
Yeah, she's here. You're up, Tara.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome, Tara. Go right ahead.
Hey, good evening. Hope y'all are doing okay tonight. Thank you for letting me speak just, very quickly, very briefly, because I know you've got a lot of other things to discuss, but I did want to just, let you know that the Board of Nursing is advocating for APRNs, nurse practitioners, with this position statement coming out. We've met with the medical board two separate times now, and I think the biggest thing that is really getting their attention is the personal stories, the not that it's just affecting APRNs, but it's also affecting your patients and patients in rural communities where we know that this could have a huge impact. We did meet with the medical board. Josh Batson, he is a nurse practitioner. He has a very good personal story himself because this will affect his practice as well in Valdosta. And I'll let him say a few things about meeting with the medical board. But, I just Thursday, at the medical board meeting, I think it's important that because the medical board is really willing to work, with nurses. I don't think that they are out to get nurses by any means, but so I think that, trying to stay on friendly terms, working together, working through this, is going to be very beneficial. And I think we had a little leeway today, but I think that the biggest thing is how they're interpreting the statute of employment versus the rest of the state. And so anyway, I'll turn it over to Josh real quick if he has a few words to say. But thank you for letting me join with y'all today.
And thank you, Tara, for taking the time. And Josh, you can go right ahead.
All right. Thanks, Tara. And hello, everybody. I was actually on the call last week, and I'm unfortunately one of those people that didn't realize that the UAPRN was an organization that I needed to be a part of. So I'm glad to know it. I would say real quick, I know time is of the essence tonight. I had 4 big takeaways from our meeting today. One is that the positions on the board do not think anything has changed. They believe that this interpretation of employment has always been the interpretation of employment, despite my efforts, not in this meeting, but the last one as well, to say that that may be the case within the medical board, but in my 12 years as a nurse practitioner, that's definitely not been the interpretation outside of the medical board room. So I would say that's the first takeaway is they do believe that this is how it's always been. And they keep reiterating that stance. The second thing is, like Tara said, they have been open. It hasn't been like this is the way it's going to be. This is not a discussion. They've been willing to engage. Like Tara said, we've had 2 closed doors meeting with them now. And I do feel like we've been able to share the nursing perspective on how this position statement is not only going to affect the things that they are trying to affect, which are some problems that we all could agree exist in nursing and medicine in the state of Georgia, but the ecosystems, it's not just one nurse practitioner that's going to get affected if they have to shut down. It's their employees, it's the community, it's the patients. And so we're really trying to open their eyes. This isn't just about one person in an organization. It's the whole ecosystem for each of these clinics. And really the goal of what they're trying to do is there's a problem with med spas. There's a problem with IV hydration clinics, not all of them, but it is if you had to put your finger on one big problem in the state of Georgia, and it's actually not even just in the state of Georgia, it's national. It's med spas run amok. There's plenty of them out there doing it the right way, but there's plenty of them out there not following the rules. And honestly, we're here today because of those clinics. Third thing I'd like to say is that they were unaware. The first meeting we had, they were unaware that this was going to impact any clinic outside of the IV hydration bubble. When I told them the story, I own and have owned a migraine and spine clinic in Valdosta for 9 years, and I explained that their position statement could cause me to have to shut my doors. And I explained all the certifications and all the things we've been doing in the community for a long time. And they were taken back, had no idea clinics like that exist, or at least that's what they said. So I think that the personal stories of all the clinics that all of us are employed by, that own, all the clinics we know, the more stories that we can show them that there's this whole ecosystem of clinics out there running healthcare in rural Georgia, that's really going to impact them. So that seems to be one of the things that's moving the needle more than anything else. And the last thing is they were pretty adamant today to Tara and I that they're not looking to shut down clinics. They're not actively searching for clinics to shut down that are not complying with this new statement. They did admit that they are using this new interpretation to reject new protocols, but they're not actively searching through old protocols to find clinics to shut down. And they wanted to make that known that that's not what they're trying to do. Their goal wasn't to disrupt healthcare in Georgia. Their goal is to protect patients in the state of Georgia because they've had so many complaints with certain types of clinics that are just doing things the wrong way. And they felt like this was the easiest, best way to nip that in the bud.
All right, I appreciate you taking the time, Josh. If you are just joining let me just orient the space. The agenda is posted in the chat. We just heard from our lobbyists. We heard from Robin, the chair for Government Relations Council, GRC. We heard from Tara Taylor and from Josh Batson. We do want to recognize time. We had allotted the last 30 minutes for comments and questions. We had left the forum open for some additional comments from our advisors, but I do want to acknowledge the chats. I see the chat comments and questions. We will be addressing them. Keep them coming. And I appreciate the feedback because we're at a point where we're not going to sugarcoat per se the dialogue and the exchange. We wanted to create this platform for everyone's get your questions and concerns addressed. But I want to make sure that those who just joined know that we're not ignoring the chat and comments. We want to get to that 30-minute mark and we're going to open it up for full dialogue. With that, we're going to switch gears. Is Dr. Nelson or Dr. Grabish on? Oh, go right ahead. Go ahead. Go right ahead, Robin.
Yes. We really have to talk about the details for tomorrow so nobody's confused.
Surely, go right ahead.
Okay, this will take me a few minutes. So everybody, not tomorrow, Thursday. Thursday is the board meeting. The board meeting is held in the Twin Towers by the Capitol. Limited space is available. So the seats have been taken there. 3 of us are going to speak and it's full, but we still need every nurse practitioner to come down and be present. The meeting starts at 7:30. We have Liberty Plaza reserved, and Shannon has put the map of Liberty Plaza in the chat. It's the area that holds 3,000 folks. It's right directly across from the Capitol. They do have porta potties, and they have some electric outlets. We are going to bring a speaker. The Capitol Building Authority is going to provide a speaker and mic as well, but that won't be until 11 o'clock. It only lasts for an hour. So that's where we're going to gather. We're going to have signs, wear your white coats, bring chairs, bring water, bring snacks, bring your ID. If you want to go to the Twin Towers to their restaurant or cafe or to the Capitol, you must have an ID. But that's where we want to build a lot of momentum. We want to talk. There will be media presence there. And we need tons of people to show up. So everybody can say, we're here to support what's going on across the street. They're making decisions about our practices across the street. We're here to support that.
Okay, and then I just want to piggyback on some of the logistics to make sure we're all on the same page. So what Robin is saying is that and if you're familiar with that space, it's not that anyone is being excluded. We're just managing expectations that the room is just literally small. So the 20 seats, we want to be able to be impactful with the message, and we have worked towards prepared statements. UAPRN, our lobbyists, our legal counsel of sorts. So we're ready and prepared to speak on your behalf in that room at the meeting Thursday. But we do recognize a lot of you are coming to prepare and are prepared to give remarks, show unity, show advocacy. So Robin and her team secured the space. So in the chat, so if you're going to be there Thursday, take a moment to go into the chat right now, look for that map and look for the media press release. It gives you the agenda for Thursday. So when you travel Thursday, so you have a sense of time, and everything is essentially going to be wrapped up by 1 anyway, because that's the time we have until. So the board meeting itself, 7:30, is in the Twin Tower. Space is limited and already accounted for, but we have media we've invited. If you yourselves want to invite media, if you want to have a group that you want to coalesce in that area, we've dedicated that space on your behalf to provide the forum and the platform for advocacy. We'll have a mic, we'll have podium, and that type of thing. We're always, of course, going to encourage decorum and order. We're professionals, right? But so we're going to create a space where everyone has the opportunity to speak. So again, if you have not gone into the chat, that is the map that the team worked on and the agenda that the GRC team worked and put together. Can you post the map again? A comment just posted, Shannon or marketing.
Yes.
Can you
Yes,
post the map again? Yes,
I'll
we
get
will.
that posted.
And again, if you are part of UAPRN, you should be getting our emails, you should be getting our announcements. And if you're not a member, you should look at social media. We've been posting there as well. So any other logistics that we need to address for Thursday before we move the agenda along? Go ahead, Juliana.
Yeah, one other thing too that we mentioned that at the mic is when we can actually, and especially with the media there, if you've got personal stories that you're willing to share, that gives you that mic to share that with. But also, if you're willing to put something down, on paper, you do not have to include your name or the name of your practice, but just to give that personal story, just as Josh was mentioning earlier, if you would write it up, if you could get it to us sometime tomorrow so that we could pull these together so that we can present them to the board and say, here is a stack of personal stories on what this is doing to our APRN owned businesses, but especially to the impact on how many patients you have. That would be really impactful if you're willing to do that. Again, you don't have to put your name or your company name. The location of your and the type of business would be really good. I own this type of clinic. I have this many patients. This is how it's impacted me personally, making it very personal.
Thank you for that. And then let me also go ahead and reference the chat. We're going to come back around to the chat for additional comments. But again, the logistics we're talking through for Thursday. There's some question as to whether we cannot make anybody not appear, but what we're trying to do is really manage expectations. We don't want anyone frustrated. We know some of you are traveling upwards of 3.5 hours to be there. We're just saying that when you arrive, it is not likely. In fact, let's just say it won't be. The Twin Tower is where you're going to be able to coalesce. It is going to be the area we prepared for the larger crowd, which is the plaza. And that's just simply logistics. The room has 20 chairs. They've already told us that those 20 chairs are accounted for, but trust that UAPRN and the leadership will be there representing you to give remarks on behalf of this issue. So any other logistics that we need to present before we switch to, I think Dr. Pam or Grabbers is going to speak, and then we'll open up for comments and questions. So if Dr. Pam's mic can be unmuted, marketing, we'll let her speak.
I am good to go. Can you hear me, Nancy? Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Pamela Ergrabish. I'm really honored to represent this group. I will be one of the prime speakers that will be talking to the Georgia Composite Board. I want to address a lot of what I'm seeing in the chat. So let me give you a little bit of my background. I've been a cardiothoracic nurse practitioner for 25 plus years on the front lines, and I understand especially hospital medicine, but I've seen the outpatients as well, because my other big hat I wear is I'm the vice president of clinical operations for locumtenens.com. That is a subsidiary of Jackson Healthcare. We are the largest privately held staffing firm in the country. We are the largest placer of nurse practitioners in the country, including Georgia, in both 1099 slots as well as permanent positions. I feel very confident in being able to represent. We have 150 different specialty lines that we put people to work in. So we are hearing stories all over. We also understand the collaborative piece because we actively represent as a third party to find collaborating physicians in the state of Georgia to support nurse practitioners. I feel very confident when I'm looking at these comments that the statement that we have prepared will address all of your concerns. And I would like to call out a few. Erica, who posted at 7:19 that APRNs have spent a lot of time and we can no longer accept these policies. I don't disagree. Part of our statement will absolutely be about the fact that we need to have APRN representation on this board. A big piece of this is also that the timing with which they put this statement out, and Tara and Jason and Josh, I'm sorry, I understood and heard what you said, that they say they want to work together. But I will tell you that the way that this was unilaterally presented, that they did not listen to concerns, that a lot of people felt ignored, that practices have shuttered, that doctors have walked away from collaborative agreements is highly concerning. The other piece of this is that we do agree that we all need to work together. And so the formulary that I'm going in with is access. The whole reason why most of us became nurse practitioners is because our patients did not have access to appropriate health care. We are the bridge in that gap. And no matter where you practice, and I don't care if it's an IV hydration clinic or if you run your own primary care business, you are crucial and vital to what's happening to patients in Georgia. Please know that the 3 speakers that have been selected to speak on your behalf are going to be passionate but respectful to the board. I have been legislating for many, many years. I speak in front of people all the time. And my business has a large stake in what's happening for whatever side of the political spectrum you sit on. The man who founded my company, Rick Jackson, is indeed running for governor. So that is a big piece of this as well. Rick is listening. This is a bipartisan issue. Both Democratic candidates as well as Republican candidates recognize that nurses are the key to unlocking better healthcare for all of Georgia. So just please know that we are listening. We're seeing all your comments. We are just as frustrated as you. I have a couple of key things that I would like to tell you from spending many, many years on Capitol Hill, but also being in boardrooms in very high pressured, frustrating situations. Going high always wins. When we are going to be interviewed by the media, and I promise you they'll be there. So please know that even though you may not have been selected to be in the room of 20, we're representing you. And I've been in that room multiple times. There really are, I kid you not, it might even be 15 chairs now. Some of us may be standing. But we need you on the plaza. But when you're there, I want you to be as positive as you can be, right? We know we're all mad, right? We know the board knows better. We know that they ignored and sat on this, and it was only this outcry that has pushed them to now take us more seriously. We're going to be asking for representation on that board, but every time that someone puts a mic in front of you or asks you for your statement, or maybe you bring a poster, I want it to be collaborative. I want it to be positive. I promise you that that will go much, much further with getting our message across. And I don't disagree that there is, again, significant frustration and that the board, they say they interpret one way, and yet here we are. But if I could implore you to think about what you want to say, go at it from an access perspective. There are more than enough patients in Georgia for all of us to work together. That we are in one of the most restrictive states in the country. We recognize that. By the way, I'm calling that out in my statement. And that we do need to move our state forward, that states that are green states, where nurse practitioners and physician associates have more power and are able to practice to the top of their license, right, have better outcomes, their patients are happier, they are better and healthier states. And Georgia sits in the very bottom. Okay, the statistics speak for themselves. I promise you, go high. Okay, when being faced with negativity or reporters that will bait you, and they will, I promise you they will, consistently go with the message of, we are here on behalf of patients. We are here because our patients are lacking access. We are here because there are physicians in areas where no one is being reached. We are doing the work that doctors don't want to do. And on the other side of this, that there are a lot of doctors who support what we do, who are happy to be collaborators. I talk with more doctors than not that are very supportive of nurse practitioners, have never not trained without a nurse practitioner at their side, and are grateful to be in happy collaborative practices that are not shell organizations or we're just paying them because, right? The state of Georgia requires you to have a collaborator. That's their rule. Are they shocked that we now have to pay them to do so? I find that very interesting too. So please know we're covering all the bases. Feel free to drop anything in the chat if I've not addressed it or something you want to make sure is in one of the statements that the three of us that have been chosen will do. But again, very, very grateful and honored to represent all of you. I promise we will do so well, and I look forward to meeting all of you at Liberty Plaza when we are done. Thanks, Nancy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Round of applause. Okay. So in terms of the formalities, and I do believe we had allotted some time for Dr. Nelson, who will, I think is opting to defer comments at this time. I want to go back to GRC. Is there any other logistics when we go into the comments and start
I
answering
actually do have
questions?
something to
Oh,
say.
hey, what's going on, Dr. Nelson? For
Good
those
evening,
who missed,
everyone.
good evening, good
To the
evening.
most honorable President, Dr. Nancy Herlock, I thank you very much for an opportunity to address everyone this evening. I am the past president of UAPRN, and those of you who know me know for sure that I am a staunch supporter of pathways to access to health. It is what drives me. It is what wakes me up in the morning and puts me to sleep at night if I do sleep. I do have to say, since we're having some plain talk here this evening, right? And we're amongst friends,
We're amongst
that
friends.
I am a little concerned about some of the comments that I am seeing in the chat. So let's talk about that. We cannot be divided at this time. You do understand that dropping a bomb Friday evening before a holiday weekend and not being available to answer questions and not being responsive, you know what that was designed to do. That
Yeah.
is designed to split. It is designed to fearmonger. It is designed to put us against each other. It is designed to make us go absolutely crazy and act out. I want to absolutely assure you guys that there is going to be a lot more. UAPRN has been in business for 20 years. The fact that some of you don't even know that we exist is problematic in and of itself. It means that you need to be involved. I remember a professor of mine telling me, saying, you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket.
That's right.
You're not going to win. So what I am asking of everyone here to do, and those of you that know me know that I am not splitting any hairs tonight. I mean what I say. It is time for us to unite and be together. You have heard me say before that this is the greatest crisis that we have faced, and that advanced practice nurses here in Georgia are in the midst of their own civil rights movement. We must be willing to join together, to support each other, to dig in our pockets, to show up and vote appropriately, to come on and decide that we are going to be part of the solution. UAPRN needs help. We have been out here fighting. And I will tell you guys, I said earlier, when I was president, my career suffered. Marriage put on autopilot. Health suffered. Why? Because I drove to the hills of Georgia, down to the Georgia-Florida line, where my buddy, Dr. Desiree Clement, Dr. Clement, you raise your hand. And with Juliana
Hey there.
McConnell, we drove east to west. So I don't want to hear that UAPRN is not 10 toes down with you, because we are. But guess what? Just as much as you need us to show up for you, we need you to show up too.
Yeah.
Get your behinds down to Liberty Plaza on Thursday. You need to run for office. If it's not in UAPRN, it's got to be in some organization. Lift your voice. This is for you. But the one thing that we are asking for, I don't think we're giving and giving and giving. We're not asking a whole lot. What we are asking for is decorum on Thursday, because when we go out there
Yes.
and we show out, that's what they'll capture. They're not going to capture the stories and the wonderful work that we're doing, that we are the answer and the solution for advanced practice nurses needing access, and the patients needing access. We are the solution. We are the solution. But we have to do it in a very orderly, systematic fashion. Let's just try and keep it together on Thursday. And then let's go on and plan the rallies and the protests. Bring the placards, bring the pitchforks if you want to. I don't care.
Not Thursday.
Bring it on, but not on Thursday.
Not on
because
Thursday.
Auntie Dr. Nelson's gonna show up and be no, because the one thing I will not have is they capture us and have us on the TV looking absolutely crazy.
Right.
Don't do it.
No, on
I'm
Thursday.
going to leave you with a message that I heard that fueled. You see this passion that I have in me? It was fueled by one inflection point, and there's a lot of inflection points in our lives, but there was one. It is when I became the president of UAPRN. I met with Juliana McConnell. I had never met her before. She became my lobbyist. Please come down to the Capitol, Dr. Nelson. I want to show you what's going on down here. And I'll admit, I didn't know anything. I'm a girl from Brooklyn, New York. I don't know what's going on at the Capitol, but I showed up. And she says, okay, now, Dr. Nelson, you're going to take this little piece of paper and you're going to go call out your senator, Senator John Albers. And you guys know I'm really shy. I walked up and I said, Dr. Albers, my name is Michelle Nelson. I was talking so softly, knees knocking. The man gave me 30 seconds. And you know what he said to me? He said, Dr. Nelson, let me stop you right there. And let me tell you why you're never going to get what you want. You're never going to get it because you guys are split. You're disjointed. There's no unity. You don't talk with one voice. It's easy for us to ignore you. Very easy. Don't let that be the story anymore. There are other professions that go down there and they do great work. They get what they want. The teachers, the dentists, you know why? Because they don't go as, I'm a first grade teacher and you're a high school teacher and I'm the dentist that do surgery and I'm the dentist that does braces. They are together. So this is our time and our moment. I want you to see the silver lining in this. For those of you who are in the chat, calling for full practice authority, we can get there. We're going to get there, folks. We're going to get there sooner than later. I promise you. Let us use this. This is the fuel. This is the gas. Let them do their craziness. The fact that they have taken the lives of Georgians. That's the real story here. That's the enemy. Georgians whose lives and APRN livelihoods, this is about livelihoods, this is about lives, that they have put that on the line. And then they have the nerve to go on vacation and leave us sitting here wondering, scratching, about to kill each other for what? That's the enemy. It's not in here. So you guys, I need you to act like it. Come ready. Can we please talk about FPA? Mike, you have put this in the chat 15 times already.
Let me talk.
Hold on a second. Mike, Thursday is not about full practice authority. No one wants full practice authority more than me.
Nobody else.
I live, breathe, and eat full practice authority. If you haven't heard me say that, let me say it to you again. But stay focused. Mike, stay focused. Thursday is not about full practice authority. These people are not going to be able to hand you full practice authority on Thursday.
Yeah.
What you are going there to do is to deal with this issue
on Thursday.
So stay focused. But Mike, what you can do is you can come and you can join us.
Yes.
Let's get down to it. Come on and start a task force, Mike. Mike, come on, we need you.
Yes.
But
Dr.
that's
Nelson.
not the focus on Thursday.
Mike,
Listen,
you
Dr.
better show
Nelson.
up too. Mike said he got it. Mike, what's Mike's last name? I'll be looking
Is
for
that
Mike.
Send your number, Mike. Put it
So
in the
listen,
chat.
let me say this, Dr. Nelson, because I want you to keep talking, but let me just do a few things.
No, I'm done. I'm
No, no,
coming
no,
down
no,
off
no,
my
no, no,
soapbox. No, I'm done because y'all done got my blood pressure. I need my pills now. I'm hot. Come on now.
No, listen, let me just say a few things. Okay, let me just, because the chat, that you guys are lighting up the chat. Let me just say this. Legislative session. The legislative session, January to Aprilish. Am I right, Juliana?
Yes.
No one understands when we say strategy, because those of you who've emailed and messaged and says, we need teeth. We need an organization that has teeth. We need you guys fighting. When I say we're fighting, but check this out. There is a strategy that has to be. So when Dr. Nelson is saying Thursday is not the day, we are putting one piece of a very big puzzle together for the long game, right? And here's the thing. Legislative session come January. All of this is going to be laying the bricks or the foundation. So when we show up, come legislative session 2027, we have ammunition.
Oh,
We have ammunition.
this is the ammunition
This is
we
the ammunition.
need.
Yes, because even if we wanted to flip the switch right now, to Dr. Nelson's point, full practice authority is not happening on Thursday. But what is happening on Thursday are the stories, the media, the storytelling. And when we show up January, we're showing up with a different message. We've already seen what we're going to see from this state. We need a different conversation. We need legislators, we need our governor, and we need everyone behind us towards full practice authority. But we need you guys to trust the process. Dr. Nelson said, UAPRN has been around here for 20 years doing the work. So don't get distracted, don't get frustrated, and don't get discouraged. I promise you. And somebody said, and still no full practice. You're right. And I think that's from Sonata. So the point is, we've been here 20 years and no full practice authority. Let me address the elephant in the room. May I? When we show up representing UAPRN and when we show ourselves and we have the conversations of full practice and the qualifications of APRN, again, the unity, the unified voice. There is a temptation to divide the conversation of APRN. So unless we have a unified message and showing up to the Capitol with that unified message, with the force of the organization, the force of our constituency, then we can have the conversation of full practice authority. So listen, it is a long game. We recognize that. And don't you think that when we go to the Capitol and these bills and the legislators that we engage with, if you guys are familiar with House Bill 54, that was 3 years. 3 years of work, we got it right to the finish line, the rug was pulled out from under us. So if you have not participated in legislative activity for UAPRN, you have to trust and believe. We are not new to this. We're not new to this. But Dr. Nelson, hand it back over to you.
So let me go back. Sonata and still no FPA.
Yeah.
Still no FPA. Look at how many people are on tonight. 222.
Mm-hmm.
During the legislative session, when we beg y'all to come on and listen to what's going on at the Capitol. Where y'all at? All 222 of y'all, and then some. If you want full practice authority, show up and let us know that you want it. And be willing to do some of the work. And be willing to dig down in your pocket and join this organization so that we have the funds that we need to be able to fight on your behalf. Because at the end of the day, we're still going to fight on your behalf. We've been doing it all this time. There are only 28 states now that have full practice authority. Georgia's going to be one of them. I can promise you that. But I can't do it by myself. There have been days that I have been down at the Capitol and they will they will attest to you on this call. I have been down there fighting physicians by myself. I go into a bathroom and I cry. I dry my face and I come back out and I fight on y'all behalf. There is no reason why there is 2 people at the Capitol that I'm there crying. Here we have, put your money where your mouth is. Here comes the legislative session. I want to see all of y'all on here that want full practice authority. Show up and show us that you mean it. Show up and show us that you're willing to do what it is that, not even talking about you and your livelihoods. Show up and do what you were purposed to do. And that is to stand in the gap of Georgians, particularly in the rural areas, who many times have nobody. It's just you answering the call. We can do it. We're going to do it. But like my mother says to me all the time, If you want to go fast, what is it? How's it go?
If you want to go 4.
If you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
Full practice authority is the long game. We need all of you. We hear you screaming this,
Yeah.
but
We
it's
know.
going to take all of us.
And let me
Are
just
you
address
willing
this,
to be
Dr.
in it to win
Nelson.
it? Come on and show us.
And I can't keep up with the names of who's saying what, so forgive me if I'm not acknowledging you, but I saw one person reference that they do engage with the legislators and they awesome. That's what we've been saying. Please, just again, UAPRN is the organization, but the power is you. And when we put out the call to actions and we put the links for you guys to look up who your legislators are, that's exactly what we're needing you to do so that when Juliana and Robin and Dr. Nelson go to the Capitol, they're like, who? European what? What's an APRN? They don't even know what a nurse practitioner is versus an APRN versus a PA. There's not even a delineation in their minds.
I
So
want to
you don't need
respond
the
to
court.
someone named Karen who just put something in the chat
Mm-hmm.
that cuts to the core. Karen, let me kiss you straight on the lips. Karen, you got it. We have to raise money. AMA is paying for ads right now. These people are taking your money, $1,500 to $2,000 a month, times 5, just like in Robin's practice. They're taking that money from you. And guess what they do? They turn around and they put it right back into their organization. You are paying them to fight you. That's where your hard-earned money is going. Take that money. 222 people, if all of you just gave $10 for the year, that's 2,200. If you gave $100 for the year, that's how much money? Tens of thousands. We would have the war chest that we need. The Georgia Nurses Association is in the chat. Shout out to them. They have already posted the date for GNA Day at the Capitol. Won't you come down?
Won't you
This
come
is
down?
me giving the benediction now, okay? Because I'm climbing down off the pulpit. I'm passing the hat and the plate. Benediction time. Won't you come join us? The doors of the organization are open. Come on, y'all. We need help.
Yeah, yeah. And when we say we need help, we're not being even bashful. If you guys are, again, if you're on our social media posts and you see, we actually literally have on June 13th, calling all leaders. And again, just understand the work that UAPRN does, this is hot and heavy. We get that. But there's an organization that is literally 24/7, like 24/7 we're working, right? So before this composite thing came out, we have a whole conference we're planning for September. That's been happening. This is from last year, coming back after a year hiatus, bringing it back. We have calling our leaders where we have a dedicated time that is free. Where these very leaders are again are giving up their time to breathe back into an APRN that says, I want to learn. I want to learn about the Capitol. I want to be the next president. We're literally putting a platform together. We have shout out to the Atlanta chapter that does Transitions Day. We have an entire chapter that dedicates to nurture new APRNs, where we have speakers like teaching about contract negotiations and learning how to do your composite agreement. We have shout out to the West Columbia chapter with Dr. Pam Shaw, where they do a legislative work. I mean, the work is happening. But if you are not plugged into the organization, it's going to seem as if we just showed up 2 weeks ago when this composite thing came up. We were doing the work. And this is not to dismiss anyone's frustration. And if anyone knows me, I take all comments. I take the good comments, I take the bad comments, I take all of it because there's a learning opportunity in all of it. But what I don't want is anyone frustrated, and I don't want anyone discouraged. And I need you guys to hear me when we say, hear me when I say we are on the same page to a full practice authority. But the reality is there is opposition to that action. And when we show up with that opposition, it is literally David and Goliath. But despite the fact that we are David, we have a Goliath mentality.
That's right.
Dr. Nelson, do I even need to say, Dr. Nelson is like, listen, what? And when I
They
say
don't want to
so,
see me
they
coming
don't,
anymore.
they don't want to see it anymore.
They
So
don't
it's
want
like,
to see me coming anymore. And this is why we need a long bench.
yeah, that's the
It
one.
couldn't
Yes,
be me
yes.
anymore because a fight was going to break out every minute. When I stepped up to the microphone, they were laying in wait for me. This is why we need you. We need
Yes.
new faces.
We need
We
new
need
faces,
fresh ideas.
fresh
Those of you
ideas. Yeah.
calling for full practice authority, we're not just hearing you, we're listening. It's not falling on deaf ears. We need it. The citizens of Georgia need it, but we need you to help us get there. United is
I see
inherent in the
Juliana's
name of
hand.
UAPRN. Yes, Juliana.
Go for
Can
it.
I come in for just one second? I'm gonna say
Surely.
amen and amen. I had somebody say we need to start start playing just as I am and have an altar call. Okay, but I wanted to see if Brian, when you were talking about Michelle, I think all of us also forget. Okay, we've got a picture that I sent that I ran across accidentally. It came up on one of my history. You know how it does on your phone from 2017. I want you to look at this picture. Brian was going to share it. You see that
Oh,
picture?
yes.
That
Oh.
was 2017, ladies and gentlemen. We were waiting outside the governor's office to go in for the governor to sign our bill to allow nurses to be able to practice across lines for our nurse compact. Look at all those ladies and gentlemen there. Several of us are still here. Some of them, even our precious little Dr. Lucy Marion. But you see the crowd, and that was the GNA leadership and the APRN leadership, and even some people from the Capitol were there. And think about how important that bill was. And I mean, when I ran across it, it brought tears to my eyes today, because I have heard some people say, well, we just haven't seen what UAPRN has even done for us. And we're going, wait, if you go back, look at what the starting, here and and then passing the laws for even so that you can write, for prescriptive rights or radiographic imaging. We just recently with the APRN compact. Now you're going to the APRN license. You're going to be licensed now. And that was the work of a few of your, and the work through those of you who supported APRN to be there to advocate on your behalf for all these writing, even though it was very small, the Schedule 2, being able to sign death certificates. It goes on and on, the things that we have been able to accomplish through the effort of just a few. So as Dr. Nelson and Nancy were just now saying, think what we can do if we pull this from every aspect of nurses coming together. If we've been able to accomplish all of this, what can we accomplish? And of course, the ultimate goal is to remove all barriers and have full practice. But for right now, we're in the middle of a war right now. So we've got to remain totally focused on Thursday with what we're facing now. And let me tell you, the three individuals that have been selected to be able to address that medical board. You've just heard from two of them. And then, of course, all of you know Robin, most of you anyway. I mean, they're going to be giving impassioned pleas with factual information in a respectful way, but they're going to be fighting for you and for your lives and for the patients' lives of Georgia on Thursday morning on your behalf. But we need all of you outside at the Liberty Plaza. I'm going to be out there. We want to have, and we're going to have the media. This is our opportunity to stand up on and give you the microphone, to share your stories, to pour out your heart in front of those people there. And then another thing that I wanted to throw out, and this may be, we'll need to reach out and ask them, even though they really should not be allowed to say no. But we actually mentioned last night, would it not be good and I don't know if Brian can come and do this or somebody, but to actually videotape the nursing board meeting, but especially also have the videotaping of our press conference outside. But this is a public meeting, and they should be offering this meeting. It should be streamed online. I mean, our nursing board is available. I know you have local government, county government, state, all of you can make, we make it available to the people of Georgia to be able to watch it. And shame on the medical board for not doing that. And so that's something we need to talk behind, again, with our leadership. But is that something that we could ask them? Would it be possible we would like to videotape the medical board if we had somebody quietly just videotaping it so we can share, so we don't miss anything, so we can share that with the members who were not able to come in here today. Let's just think about that.
Sure. We'll find out. And we're right at 8 o'clock. So
Okay.
just as we did last week to respect everyone's time, the official part of the agenda is over. So let me just do a brief recap. For those who came into the chat maybe late, in the chat, there is the map of the plaza for Thursday. Just to recap and manage expectations. The meeting is a closed meeting, not closed to public. I think I saw someone made that comment. It is not that we're saying the meeting is closed. We're saying there are literally 15 or 20 chairs in the room, and it's a small room. We want to be as impactful as possible, and we have selected the 3 individuals to speak on behalf of the masses, if you will. However, we have secured an area, which is the plaza. It holds up to 3,000. We'll have a podium. We'll have mics. We've already alerted media. This will be the space where you want to tell your stories. You want to coalesce. Bring your water, bring your chair, bring your snacks. Get ready to love on each other, if you will. That's there. If you choose to show up in the Twin Tower at the meeting, just know we're just managing expectations here. It's a cramped space and you're likely not going to get in. Can we tell you what to do? No. Can we strongly advise? Yes. This is what we're trying to, because back to Dr. Nelson's point, when the media does show up, we want to show that unified front. We want to show that organized and strategic front to show Georgia as APRNs, we're here on their behalf, by the way, because of this important issue. So if you haven't visited the chat, visit the chat for the map, visit the chat for the agenda, and Dr. Whitten, shout out to Dr. Whitten and her team for putting that together. Tells you the days, the times, the point of contact, all that is on that press release document. That's the logistics for Thursday. As it relates to the work beyond Thursday, back to Dr. Nelson's point, we are never stopping the work. All this momentum leading up to Thursday, this is just one of many things that we have, fires, if you will, that we're constantly turning and churning. If you want to work, because like Dr. Nelson said, we have about 7 active persons on any given day. Our doors are open. There's no secret, president at UAPRN of GA.org, and marketing, if you want to drop that email in the chat. Alternatively, you can email info@UAPRN of GA.org. We have a board of 5. We have the Government Relations Council as a party of about 7. We have created task force in the past. As president, I say to you, I'll create a task force tomorrow. If you want to be that person to lead a group,
new chapters, president.
New chapters. We have a whole event on June 13th where we are saying to you, here you are. We're going to breathe into you as you breathe into us. We're calling all leaders at Brenau University on June 13th. If you wanted a chance to lead, if you want to be the next president of UAPRN, bring it.
That's right.
The next president of UAPRN is on this platform, but you have to understand this. And let me just come off of the work. Some work. It's work, y'all. And then we're talking about fully employed, full-time employed. We're not
paid.
We're a volunteer. I was trying to say it nicely. We're all fully employed elsewhere. This is volunteer. And we do it because we love it, and we do it from our heart.
Absolutely.
And we love you.
And we love you.
We love you since the 90s.
Yes. Since the 90s.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Nelson called me, I think it was like 6:30 this morning. I was like, Dr. Nelson, she was like, you up? I'm like, yeah, what you got? What you got? But
and I speak to Juliana till 1 a.m.
Right. So when does she sleep? We're not sure. When we say to you that our heart is in this, believe me when I say our heart is in this. So you just have to trust and know. But we recognize our bench strength needs to increase. So bring your energy, bring your ideas. Thursday, we are ready. If there are any questions in the chat about Thursday and logistics that we haven't answered. Let's see, thanks so much. Let's go.
I just have something. I have one piece of logistics. Mike, this Mike, you better find me. You better find me I want Mike. Come on, Mike.
So we got, oh, Mike, you mean Mike from the chat? I thought you meant the
Mike from
microphone.
the chat.
Okay, Mike, are you still in the chat?
Mike is in the chat. There
Mike
you
is in the
go.
chat. Okay, Mike,
Come
find
on,
Dr.
Mike.
Nelson on, and let me just say this, it works because it was a gentleman I called out on last week's meeting, and I told him to email me, and he did, and we had a chat today. We talked about 30 minutes. It was so productive. So I see Dr. Patterson's hand, 444 Marketing. If you'll unmute Dr. Patterson, please.
Hi, good evening, President
evening.
Gerlach and Dr. Nelson and leadership team and everyone on here. I just wanted to ask a question about whether there is room for negotiation with the board, because I think if we negotiate in a specific manner, then when we, push for FPA in 2027, the legislative session or whatever, that, it will probably give us a better chance of, getting to where we need to go. But negotiating the maximum price or fee that collaborative physicians can charge, I think would be something that we need to negotiate before we get to FPA, because the price gouging is real out here. And, if you have a small clinic and you're not making that kind of money, and you're being charged in the thousands, especially for psych MPs. Sometimes their angle is, and I'm talking about collaborative, the third party companies. They'll say things like, "Well, there's not a lot of psychiatrists in Georgia, and so it's a hot commodity," and then it's the price gouging. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, that that needs to be one of, if we can have that as a speaking point or a negotiation point, because if we're going to have to be under their thumb, then at least we need to negotiate how much we are supposed to be paying. Yeah.
So I will say this, and thank you for the comment, Dr. Press. I appreciate it. I will say this, the road towards full practice authority is going to have to undo anything that ties us to the physician at all. And I will just say this, and when I say that, this is a playbook that has been used by other states toward full practice. So one of the things we recognize is, as much as we have had victories, we are also strategically looking at how have and will those victories be things that we have to undo when we go towards the full practice authority. Because remember, when we show up and we start full practice, we have to make a case for things like the things we needed a doctor for before, which on a certification standpoint, we have it. We know we're qualified to do, but legislatively, there is an undoing. So I hear what your comment is about negotiating and talking about, because it's a real thing. And maybe it is part of the conversation as we work towards the full practice. So thank you for that comment. Just going back into, and anyone who has comment at this point, our agenda is ended. We're just going to leave it open for leadership to speak. At any moment, raise your hand. Just jumping into the chat. Mike is offering a ride from Baxley. He says he's leaving about 5:15. If anybody needs a ride from Mike in Baxley, check the chat. He's offering you transportation. I see your hand. Ms. Patel or Dr. Patel, forgive me if I don't see your title. Patel, 444, if you unmute Patel. And I'm sorry, I can't see the first name. I'm sorry. Patel is the last name. Hand is up. Marketing.
Dr. Nancy, thank you. It's Chai, by the way, and I'm
Yes,
just a nurse practitioner, not a doctorate level yet. But my question to you was, last week, somebody had asked the question of how many of these nurse practitioners are really owning these businesses, such as med spas, in comparison to other, people that are owning these med spas. And it seems like when I was pulling up the Georgia Secretary of State and looking up some of the, med spas and things like that in my area, a lot of those are actually non-nurse practitioner owned. And I'm not sure if we know that. Do we have any sort of statistics for tomorrow's meeting, or Thursday's meeting, to present to the board that you're not allowing nurse practitioners to pay physicians? However, you've got non-medical professionals paying physicians.
Excellent point. And I'll just going to say, we have data and statistics, but things that are workforce related tied directly to the APRN, where we are limited because UAPRN does not have the data or access to employment data. But we have other entities that do, but everyone understandably is hesitant to raise their hand and say, I'm that MP that does or does not own. So we've been very careful They're trying to create a platform for an anonymous feedback and so on. But to your point, and I'll bring it back a little bit more, this is why this feels very personal. The suggestion that the compensation to the physician suggests that we're only targeting business owners and we're going to keep it APRNs. What about the hospital that pays the doctor to be collaborative for their employee APRN? Are they targeting hospitals too? If this is about payment and compensation, but this
That
is
is correct.
right. So if we're going to talk about payment and compensation, let's broaden this brush. Why are you targeting NP, nurse person who just opened up their primary care, and not hospital entity that just paid 10 docs to collaborate for 50? You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, it's
I
a bigger
think it's
movement.
a bigger message. It's a
Yeah.
bigger message. So I hear you. You're not wrong, but I still believe that I don't think they appreciated when this ruling went out. First of all, the beehive that they hit and what they unleashed, but the lens that we have now to focus on the disparities and ambiguity in the
Yeah.
ruling in and of itself.
Yeah, no, you're correct. Thank you very much. That's all I had to
Of course.
say is this feels personal just because of non-medical professionals licensed in med spa areas. I mean, these are huge. You'll see they're mostly franchises and they're owning millions, and these physicians get paid like crazy.
Correct.
Sorry. Thank
Correct.
you.
Correct. No worries. And I see another hand, and my screen is cut off. I'm so sorry. I see the last name. Is it Obialor? Is maybe Naomi first name? Mine is raised.
Dr. Obialor.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, there it is. I couldn't
Dr.
see the screen.
Obialor, where are you?
Her hand is raised. If we'll unmute her mic, and then Alice is going to be next.
Dr. Obialor, can you please unmute her so that she can speak? Okay.
I think
good.
she's just unmute. Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thank you so much for the floor. I concur with what everybody else have said. But for Thursday, to be focused on Thursday, you guys said we have 3 people speaking with testimonials, and we're gonna be out there on the lawn across with our signs and lab coat to support the movement. So I know somebody had mentioned, I think it was you, Dr. Nancy, about the map. Is there any way you guys can repost that map so
Yes.
that we know exactly where we're
So
going?
Shannon, can you see? Sure. Okay, so we're seeing it on our end. Shannon has said she reposted it. So here's what we'll do. We will send out social media, and we will send out on ENP again, but she is posting it. I'm not sure why. Maybe is there a way to do a shared screen marketing? If you have that handy, we'll do that. But we will repost that on social media. We'll send it out via email, and we'll attempt again to put it in the chat.
Wonderful.
Surely, of course. Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. And was that your only question, or was it?
That's it. I just want to know exactly what we're
Okay,
doing
okay,
on Thursday.
okay.
So
And let me yeah, and you actually brought up something that reminded me. So the meeting itself is 7:30. So we're certainly not asking you to be at the plaza by 7:30, but the hours, and correct me, Robin or Shannon, if I'm wrong, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the block of time that we have blocked for the plaza, and then the microphone time is 11 to 12. Is that right, Shannon? 11 to 12.
That is correct. And I will be down there by the podium at about 10, before 10 o'clock, around 9. Just
Yeah.
get down there as soon as you can. We've asked the media to get there at least by 9:45.
Yep. So, and you guys, this is your time. Those who have stories to tell, get ready. And let's see, Alice Dodu, hand is raised. We see you. If we'll unmute her mic, marketing.
Okay, thanks for giving me the chance to speak. So for my concern, I know they're focusing so much on the IV infusion clinics, but like the lady that talked earlier before the last speaker, I am a psych mental health nurse practitioner, and I know they want us to have the same specialty with the delegating physician, but Georgia here, it looks like psychiatrists, the number is limited, so it's already hard to even get that, to get a psychiatrist to be your delegating physician. And I know that, I think that was the reason why previously they were allowing physicians to supervise 4 APPs. I mean, I think they did it like 4 MPs and then 4 a physician assistant, but at a point they merged it together and they did it 8. That helped, but it's still not enough because some of us were still struggling to even find a psychiatrist before this issue came in. And I know previously they were saying we could use family practice physicians, but it goes through extra review before they approve it. So I have some colleagues who has been using family practice physician for some time now that they approved that they were using. But right now with this current issue that they are raising, they are saying emphatically that it looks like we cannot use any family practice physician. It has to be a psychiatrist. So that's also going to be a problem. In addition to them saying we shouldn't pay the physicians directly or through a third party. Finding them is a problem, so we have to go through a third party who have their network that the physician posts their profiles there for them to do the matching. So that's another concern.
Yeah. And that's why the barriers, we're gonna, and again, we know Thursday the focus is on the composite board's ruling, but you're right, Alice, the long game is going to be recognizing the restrictions are just, they just don't work. And I see someone has reposted in the chat the map. So for those who are having issue, and then they also posted in the chat the link for the UAPRN website that gives you the social media links as well. There's a comment, I see your hand, Kay Williams, and I see your hand, Kendall Clark. So as you are muting, Kay Williams, let me just acknowledge the chat. Ask that a question. Let's see. So basically, we have to shut down immediately. Rocky's iPhone. I'm not sure if you suggested about if clinics are shutting down. If that's what you're referring to, no. We remember we're saying stay calm. Don't shut your door down. Stop. Don't stop taking patients. But no, that is not what we're advising at all. Kay Williams, go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kay Williams, APRN owner of a primary care clinic, used to serve as the president for the Coweta and Fayette chapter when Dr. Nelson was the president. My question is, and please forgive me if it's been answered, as an APRN owner who sees primary care and a little bit of mental health patients who just need medication management or having trouble getting an appointment, my company, which is structured, my tax ID, my business pays my collaborative physician. I do not use a third party. And so with the announcement that was given, I do not understand legally how it can be challenged when you are a business entity, not a sole proprietor, not a person who's using their social security number for their business. On the business side, how is it possible for them to single-handedly make mention of the APRN and or the physician assistant? That is the piece I am not understanding or really questioning. How is that legal?
So you're not wrong. And at the beginning, I think you referenced that there's so much ambiguity in the statement. You're spot on. And one of the reasons, and I know when we say, we don't say this to minimize anyone's concern. Hear me when I say this. When we say to stay calm and don't shut your doors down, because that question is one of many that brings a legitimate counter. But again, remember, this was posted regardless of collaboration. There was no heads up, this is coming. There was no conversation, because had it been presented, then those are the kind of questions that we would have had the opportunity to counter. So you're absolutely spot on.
Because for me, I didn't stop practice, and I don't plan on stopping practice until somebody comes and says until I receive an email to say that. And fortunately for me, I know a few physicians that I've worked with who have seen the value of APRNs and who offer free collaborative services or little to nothing, less than $100 a month, just because they support us and believe, in what it is that we're doing and being able to reach those patients. And so I don't know if it's something we're trying to get statements from those physicians who see the value, in that piece, or even just let alone the number of patients that we're seeing. There's some primary care clinics, it's 6 months out and you can see an NP in the same week. So it's like those things are important. And so I just was trying to consider, do I need to bring on my partner as a co-owner to legally say this person also, is a part of this business? So you can't just single-handedly rule an APRN out, but you allow RNs who may have APRNs as their medical directors doing good faith exams. But because the RN is the owner, this doesn't apply to them?
Yeah. Exactly. And these are the kind of stories when you guys bring your stories. This is it. when you start poking holes in the legitimacy of the ruling, this is the ammunition that we need. So please hold on to your stories. And I see someone in the chat mentioned the Texas spa owner, medical director charged with fatal IV case and believe this is the case. Okay, this is an example of when we start baiting and we start getting excited, and it may have been, but there is no health professional that is above, and clearly this was an awful, awful incident, right? But to be able to then hang an entire profession on an error of one, I think is an unfair. But you're right, it is possible, Ms. Patterson, that this was something that was tied into the suggestion that this was warranted in terms of their focus on IV. And Kendall Clark, I see your hand. Marking if you can unmute Kendall Clark.
Hi everyone. Dr. Nancy, I don't know if you even remember me, but back in the day of old Gentiva home health, yeah, it's been a long time. I've missed you so much. I have just a question. So those of us who are being affected immediately, I think y'all are aware of my story. My collaborating physician passed away unexpectedly, and so I have had to submit I own my own practice in Sylvania, rural critical access area. So I've had to submit a new protocol agreement. I have a designated physician, blah, blah, blah. So I had 60 days from the date of his death to submit a new protocol agreement. My designating physician is going to be my delegating physician, but because of these new things, and I know there's a lot of practices that their delegatings are deciding to cancel their protocol agreements. What can we expect anything to change, or what are we asking for on Thursday for these pending protocol agreements that are likely going to be denied? Because I've heard that there's other ones that if you checked yes to that question about is your delegating physician, or is the delegating physician being compensated on those new protocol agreements, if they're going to table this and agree that there needs to be more conversations had, is there going to be a workaround of, are they going to relook at these that they're denying, these protocol agreements that they're denying because of checking yes to that box of yes, the delegating physician is being compensated?
I can speak to that.
Sure, go ahead.
In the meeting today, I asked them if they were willing to pull the statement, and they were not. And then I asked them if they were willing to pause the aspect of the statement that dealt specifically with compensating the collaborative physician because of this exact scenario. Because although I do feel like we're going to work it out in the long run, there's a lot of nurse practitioners and clinics being affected now. And they took that and said that they would have to talk to their full board to make any decisions, but making them aware of those kind of things seemed to be some of the most impactful points we were able to bring to the table.
Yeah, I've been in practice. I've owned my own practice for going on 5 years now. So I have a full patient load, and that's gonna to not be able to give them any notice. Our primary cares are already full. And so for all of a sudden my patients to have no notice that I'm having to close my doors, or, if I'm going to have to close until I can submit a new protocol agreement, my delegating physician has thankfully agreed, that we can say that he's not going to be, compensated. He'll do that for free for me. But my 60 days will run out. I'll have to close my doors, until they can
listen, let
look
me
at
just
another
speak
one.
on behalf of Kendall Clark. When you talk about rural Georgia, and by the way, Kendall and I used to work, we were home healthcare RNs together back in the day. It's like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Kendall. You're doing it, and I don't know if you feel comfortable telling your story, but you talk about no healthcare options, limited healthcare options, that's an example. And it just breaks my heart that you have to even consider. And by the way, that someone put in the chat, that's patient abandonment. It is. It is. So
Yeah, I
hold
worry about
tight,
that.
Kendall. We obviously can't tell you what to do in terms of your business, but I'm just going to say to you, don't shut your doors. Don't shut your doors. Stay, and I'm going to look your number up, Kendall. We got to chat. In fact, I'll message you on the side in here, and I'll give you my number. We gotta chat. Okay. Thank you, Kendall. Appreciate your
Thank
comment.
you.
And I don't know
Thank
if we answered your question wholly, but if anyone else wants to add comment to Kendall, feel free to add. I don't know if Shannon, Robin, any Juliana, if you have any direct feedback for Kendall. If not, we're gonna shift back to the comments. I see a hand raised. I am so sorry, I can't see the screen. Can anyone see the name?
Yeah. Would you please ask her
sorry,
to write her testimony to be
Yes.
included? Okay.
Okay,
She doesn't have to put her name if she doesn't want, if she doesn't feel comfortable with it. But I know Tara said yes, to please, to continue, because like they said, now they have said right now they're pausing the statement. It was my understanding. We'll hear more Thursday too on what the status is as of that time.
They're not pausing the statement. We did ask them to do that, but they were unwilling to commit to that. They did say they would go back to their board and see what the full board, because it was just a couple of members from each board, and see what they could do, but no commitment.
They did make the comment, though, that we do not want anybody shutting down their business, shutting down their, practice. We don't want any hospitals to, stop doing what they're doing. And they're trying to reach out to every hospital in Georgia to make sure. So they are giving us that information. But, we told them we need clarity on exactly, if they're going to keep this statement up, we need clarity on exactly what they're expecting.
Yes,
Okay.
Tara, this is Desiree. The other issue, especially for the psych that we've been hearing about, the psych mental health, and this is also impacting the midwives too, where you have to have the same specialty. They can't work with a family practice doc who may be a done OB or psych. There's not enough around. That's part of the problem. And then if this starts shutting down the third party companies, which some are already talking about pulling out, that is going to be shutting their doors. It's already starting to happen. We're hearing about it, Tara.
Yeah.
So how do we get those stories to you?
Yeah.
And this is also happening with home birth midwives. They're feeling like they're being targeted because there's not enough to go around.
If we get, and that's the biggest thing that I've been talking to Juliana and Robin about. If we can get all this data, if we can get these stories from everybody so we know how many this is truly affecting, and like the issues, like you're saying, we don't have enough psychiatrists around to sign protocol agreements. To sign protocol agreements. And so you're using third parties. Yeah.
Tara, the other thing is this is a maternal health and psychiatric crisis we're going through in our state. Some of the worst outcomes in the country. Those are the points that need to come across. Mental health crisis and maternal health. That is what speaks to them, along with pediatrics. Those are three areas that we've seen over and over again in multiple states that will speak to them. So how do we get these important stories to you? We want to make sure, and y'all as the Board of Nursing, Tara, we need your voice. We need your help, yours and Josh's, because y'all can be behind those closed doors. We can't. UAPRN, GNA, we don't always get behind closed doors. But y'all as the board, they need to hear from you.
Yes.
And we appreciate what you're doing, but we need exactly where you need these stories sent, not only to UAPRN, but to the board, and they need to be able to get through to the board. I've had people say they tried to reach the board, and I know y'all are doing the best you can. We know that, but how do they reach you and Josh tonight?
If they will send us an email at nursing@sos.ga.gov. That is the best way to contact us. I'll give you my email as well. In Taylor, I can put it in the chat, both of those.
Please do. And Josh, could you put yours on as well as the APRN representative? That's such a big help. Y'all are there.
Yeah, this was something we were focused on, and we discussed the specific thing to make it as easy as possible. And the letter that went out from the Board of Nursing that asked for the testimonies of this, they have that. It has that email on it, so it could be a centralized place to send all of these testimonies. So then that we could be the ones responsible to send to the medical board so they wouldn't get lost in translation. And so that
That's
was
what
the
I'm
idea
asking
behind
for
that.
too. Yeah, that's what we're asking for. As you see here, especially with the mental health crisis, if people go off their meds, people need to hear those stories. OB, people are going without prenatal care. They don't have a delivering provider. People will go under the table and deliver whoever, whenever. And you know, you just sometimes people will even go and deliver themselves. We know of this. So those are two huge vulnerable populations that need immediate stats to follow back up behind this, because we don't have enough site. We do not have enough maternal providers. And we have people right here willing to do it, but they're already hearing about these collab companies ready to pull out. So who else do we turn to when you've got APRNs trying to follow the letter of the law? And now these companies are pulling out, people are pulling out, and physicians don't want to be targeted themselves. It's just like, we've got to get this figured out. But I really appreciate the two of you, and thank you for being willing to take these, you know, statements directly to them as well.
Appreciate the comment, Desiree, and of course, Tara and Joshua appreciate it as well. Marketing, we're going to ask you to unmute iPhone 4, and then Tristy, and then Anthony is up next.
And in the interim, just want to say thank you, Nancy and UAPRN, for hosting this platform. This is so very important. So thank y'all for what this organization is doing as well.
Most welcome.
Hey there, my name's Elizabeth Edmonds. One thing I've put a few times in the chat, and I don't know if it's come across correctly, it's the issue of patient abandonment. So on one hand, I know y'all are saying don't stop practicing, don't stop practicing. If our protocols are out of alignment with the state or they're being rejected and we can't legally practice, how does that affect us? Where are we at, like, with our ethics? You know what I'm saying? I'm concerned that, you know, these patients won't have access to care. I'm also concerned about the repercussions for us as providers ethically abandoning our patients. And I haven't heard any of our speakers kind of hit on that, but it puts us in a very precarious position. And it doesn't seem like the Board of Medicine understands that.
Yeah, we did discuss this as a group, and we discussed it, the group that was writing the
position
writing the
statement.
board. Yeah, thank you. Kind of our rebuttal to their position statement for Thursday. This was really talked about because, yes, patient abandonment is a huge concern.
Yeah.
So that is going to be one of our follow-up questions to the board. So we will definitely be asking them this.
And to expand on that just a little bit more, this is part of what we said. There was no conversation or opportunity for even a transitional argument, meaning if the state truly believes that this is the way in which they want to interpret the ruling, 90-day transition, 30, because Medicare requires 30 days in advance of notification for termination of services. There was not even a 30-day notice, if you will. So we don't even have a true opportunity professionally and ethically to exercise within the rules that we consider standard practice of care. So great point. And we are aware, and we do include it. Unfortunately, like everything else, we don't have the answer to those questions, because quite frankly, they don't have the answers to those questions either. And I say that because it has not been presented to us clearly, but we do have it as one of the talking points.
I asked them for a transition period today, exactly what you're talking about, and their stance was, this is the way it's always been, so this isn't new. That was their response to that.
So then what then is their interpretation? Close the doors and walk away? Is that what we're saying?
Without them saying the exact words, their stance is it's always supposed to have been this way. They're just now enforcing it. So if you're doing it wrong now, you've always been doing it wrong. That's kind of the narrative that they used when we discussed the pausing, a transition period, an effective date.
So then their interpretation is that the physicians should have always done this at no cost. They should have done this for free?
Correct.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Have they put the statement out to their physicians looking for volunteers to do the work for free? That would be an interesting stance, and we would
be a nice survey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
and we did
welcome.
And we did bring that up about, you know, what would what would the incentive be for a physician to sign a protocol agreement if there's no type of compensation or stipend or anything like that?
And let me just,
And
and Tara, not to interrupt you, but we have had persons attest to that. I mean, we have nurse practitioners on here now that are not compensating their physicians financially, but our understanding in the terminology was that any level of engagement that is deemed an employee, i.e. paid, not paid, 1099, 499, whatever you want to call it, the interpretation of the ruling is that any suggestion of employment is breaking the law, if you will. Is that not what it is?
No, it's an economic relationship. So you can have
Yes.
a collaborative agreement with someone, and if you're not paying them, they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, which is probably less than 1%, then you're actually completely fine.
Mm. So this is targeting compensation. And just in the interest of time, I want to move the comments along. I appreciate Butch and Tara and Josh adding to that. Tristy M, I see your hand. Anthony next, and Spencer, and then Dr. Patterson. And Kendall, I do see your hand as well. We'll start with Tristy M. Am I saying that right? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Tsitsi, thank you so much, Dr. Herlock, and I do appreciate you hosting this. Thank you for the leadership, Dr. Nelson, my number one champion. A lot of my questions were circling back to just these recent conversations in the meeting. Number one, I had a conversation with my collaborating just yesterday, and he is completely unaware of what is actually going on with this new, well, not new, I guess, this established rulings that is just currently being enforced. And I just wanted to call this out because he was like, this is crazy. I can't believe this is happening. This is a lot of access issues. Now, even though it was a paid collaboration, he was willing, while this process works itself out, to volunteer his services for free to continue my practice going. And I wanted to see if you guys had lined that up for Thursday's meeting to see if this was even an appropriate ask at that time until we figure out what these rules are going to look like for the rest of us. But that was a big tell for me because he did not receive any communications. He did not know this was going on. And the reason I even brought this up to him is because my protocol is still not showing up on the new gateway. I don't know if anybody else has similar issues, but once they transition from the paper to the online, they've just been telling me was just still updating the, you know, um, the protocols online. Keep checking, keep checking. Well, it's still not there, and I was telling him, oh, we probably need to reapply and get
Wow.
this online. So he didn't even know that this is a process. This needs to be happening on his side, and he's a physician. So
Wow.
there's so much disconnect
Wow.
from what's happening in the the nurse practitioner role and the physician role, even though we have this collaborative relationship going on. So
Thank
so
you for
many
that
gaps
point.
that
Yeah.
need to be addressed. Yes.
Yeah. That the physicians themselves aren't even aware. Thank you for
They
that.
aren't even aware that this is happening or what the impact is, or that they even need to be looking, because we've had this relationship for a couple of years. He didn't even know, according to the rules, that this was not what we were supposed to be doing.
Mm, mm. Well, thank you for that. I do want to go ahead and use this opportunity to say this, and I don't know if any of the members of GRC, they are going to be handing out folders on Thursday, informational resources type folders on Thursday. One of the things that came up was the question of the FTC. That question has come up a few times in marketing. I did send you the link on the side, if you will, privately, if you don't mind posting that in the chat. For those of you who have asked about the FTC, and I will just allow you guys to do your own research on it. But it does create, it's an antitrust division, and it does create a platform for those who have stories to tell that is anonymous. So if, in other words, if you are still concerned about telling your story, but you have some concerns about anonymity, this is an opportunity and a platform that is available to you. This is public knowledge, but we want to be able to be a resource for all platforms for everyone to be able to get their voices heard. This is one of many. So marketing, when your time permits, if you would drop that in the chat, and it is titled Antitrust Division. You will work your way through it. You'll see it as an opportunity for you to tell your story. And this is not for the APRN that works for the hospital or that kind of thing. This is the business owner. This is the practice owner that is being effective, and it does give you the chance to remain anonymous. So that's posted. Anthony Hall, I see your hand, and then Dr. Patterson is next.
Hello, my name is Anthony Hall. I am a business owner. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And, one of my biggest concerns here is that, of course, none of this sounds like it's really well thought out, but has the board considered what action they're going to do with all of these patients should this statement stand? Being, working in psych, a lot of my patients, if they're not able to get their medications, there are going to be long-term consequences. Not being able to go to work, increased homelessness, increased, social situations that will also, tag into the community and to extra resources that are going to be needed as far as police, 1013s. If people can't get their medications, they're going to wind up in the ERs. The ERs are already filled. A lot of psych patients are winding up in situations with legal authorities. And I just want to know, or maybe we need to better convey that this is more than just closing down a practice or affecting the nurse practitioners, which of course it does, but also these patients that have nowhere else to go. I don't know if they've thought about this or if this is even top of mind for the board members.
Mm. I'll pause there for a moment. And I don't know if Tara or Josh wanted to add based on your conversations today.
We tried to really stress that, again, it wasn't about the nurse practitioner owner, it was the ecosystem of each clinic, the everything from the owner to the other providers to the staff to the patients to the community. So we really tried to stress that in our conversations with them today.
And I'll be honest with y'all, I hesitate to say this, but I really think that they have no idea whatsoever the impact. They have no idea.
I think we were all
And
in agreement.
Tara, we met with them earlier in this year. This is Shannon Witten. Physicians had a study group discussing the physician shortage and solutions. And some of us went as a group, some of us just as individuals, and we presented this. Of course, there were only a few there, but they really wanted to hear the physician shortage, the physician solutions to the shortage problem. So again, we've got some work to do.
Yeah, there's no question. And Anthony, I see your hands still raised. If you still have comment, feel free. And if not, we're going to shift to Dr. Patterson.
I just wanted to note that Dr. Herlock and myself, we just did a podcast that was taped this weekend regarding the issues that we're having here in Georgia with, APRNs. And the trailers will start airing, he said, tomorrow. But the actual episode, because I tried to push for that so that we're bringing awareness and leading up to Thursday. So the trailers will start airing tomorrow, but the episode will air on the 6th and that's Saturday. The podcast, he has 30,000 followers on Instagram. It is called Mindful Moments with Pedro Morante. And so the name of the episode is Who Gets Access to Care? And it's solely focused, I shouldn't say solely, it's we highlight the psych NP, psychiatry, mental health issues that we will face with this new ruling that the medical board has issued. So I just want you all to know that that will be airing. And so we're trying so hard to raise awareness with social media and, my platform and whatnot. So just if you can at least, I guess, follow him and then myself and then Dr. Herlock as well, because he will be tagging us. And so it's just a reminder that we really need to raise awareness. We are mobilized. The episode, the news article I saw with Dr. Herlock about the Psych NP in is it Valdalia?
Yeah, Vidalia, I think she's on.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
it was great. And so
Yes.
we need to continue to do this. We need to
Yes.
continue to raise awareness, whatever platforms we have. They kicked the hornet's nest and we have mobilized. So we just need to
Indeed.
continue the momentum.
Thank you for that, Dr. Patterson. Let me just use the opportunity to say this. It's funny because last week when we met, one of the things we were very careful in saying is that we were not engaging with media and media conversations. So the board, like I said, there's probably not a minute or an hour of a day, but we met and then we decided that the cat is out the bag. We have to. So we have empowered all of you from the very beginning to let your voices be heard. And we're still saying the same thing. You guys do not need our permission per se to speak. We just ask, of course, that you maintain the accuracy to what you are posting. Just speak directly to the ruling in its written form. And if you're telling your story, then your story is yours to tell. But with that being said, I have since received messages, people who are saying that maybe they're not as comfortable going in front of the camera. They're asking if me or some of the other members, we are here for you. So if that's you and you have a story to tell, but you're not comfortable telling it, just reach out to us. We're happy to support those efforts. But yeah, we've had a few news stories that have gone out, and I think there's a few more lined up this week, and I will continue to be the mouthpiece for this issue, bring the attention it needs. But you guys have the power to tell your stories. I see Kendall Clark, hands raised. Mark it if you unmute Kendall, and Alice is next.
Sorry, not to be a hog of time, but I did have a comment back to Josh. I have a colleague who I've talked to in the past week and said that she's a nurse practitioner, owns her own practice as well. She received an anonymous complaint several years ago that her collaborating physician was her employee, and so she actually had an investigation by the Georgia Medical Composite Board. An investigator came out and spoke with her and to her delegating physician. They it was found that they weren't doing anything wrong. He was not her employee, but she did say, I do compensate him for his time for his role. And the investigator's response to her was, we know that y'all pay them, they're not going to do it for free. So Josh, for them to say that if we're doing it like this, we've always done it wrong, we've always been in the wrong, that's not been their standpoint on that this whole time either, because their investigators have investigated cases, were aware of APRNs paying their delegating physicians, and they were not penalized for that. The investigation was dropped, and that, like I said, the investigator's comment was, we know y'all are paying them, that does not institute employment, and we know they're not going to do it for free. So again, just a comment to that as well.
Wow. Very interesting, because that's something that you can tie directly to contradiction, right?
Right.
That's a direct contradiction. Okay, I see a comment here. I want to see if I can get it through. Miss Snelling, nurses need to divest from the state. Get your collabs to write letters verifying your practice hours since you have been in the state. There are 30 plus FPA states. Once the entire state becomes rural, economics fail. People are, essentially, you're saying the backlash of limiting APRNs to practice. And I'm reading from the comments, Ms. Stelling, but you're right. If this continues and we're not moving towards full practice, we're going to see the economic and health impact. Alice, I see your hand, and then Heather.
So, as stated earlier, currently, I was waiting. Okay, previously I had me a psychiatrist who the fee went up and it became unsustainable. I couldn't afford it. So I did contacted a third party who helped me find this current provider that we submitted the protocol agreement in March. So I was following up, waiting for them to approve, and they sent me this new IV hydration thing, those new legislative thing. They sent it to me, I think, earlier in May. And so for me, the third party contractor and the provider, they pull out of the contract. So now I don't have any. And so my patient, I have to cancel some of the new patients that I was supposed to see, I cancel them. But for the current ones that I'm seeing, I'm kind of like trying to find a way to deal with it. So right now, if they want us not to be paying those providers, can they give us a list of physicians who are willing to do this oversight service for free? We will be gladly receptive to that, if they are willing to finance their colleagues who are willing to do the supervision for free, we will gladly accept that.
Yeah. And someone made that point earlier. So that's the contradiction, right? The contradiction is embedded in the very nature of the rule that we have to have a collaborating agreement. And that's why we say this feels very personal. So this is the small business owner NP. This conversation is not extended to hospitals and large health practices. If this is about collaboration being compensated, then let's have the conversation with hospitals and hospital organizations equally so as that entrepreneur and
So
that was in practice.
right now, I have to renew my DEA end of this month, but because I don't have the collaborating psychiatrist, it look like I have to like lose it, my DEA, because I cannot renew it without having a collaborating currently.
There's some carryover. And I see a few hands up, but I do want to read from the comments. I think it might be Melissa, but the question is, why is anything about physician compensation buried in an IV statement? It's a very good question. And all of it, right? So there is something to be said about the attention grabbingness, if you will, of the focus being the IV hydration and med spas, right? But the unintended backlash, if you will, or association has been what we have today. So your point is valid, and the why indeed, and I don't even think that question has been valid, really answered, but that is correct, Melissa. Heather, I see your hand up. Spencer, and I see Dr. Naomi hand right after. Heather?
Hi, thank you. I was able to join this meeting just recently, so I apologize if somebody has brought this point up. But I'm currently in a DNP program at Augusta University, and I have a good friend who was a state representative. I told her about what happened. She's also a nurse, and she suggested I reach out to the president of AU. I do know that the chancellor in Georgia has a lot of power. The university system actually is quite a powerful piece of the whole ecosystem here. And this position statement is going to very much impact the graduation rate of nurse practitioners, which will affect the number of providers, of course, across the state. This is going to really affect their bottom line because they continuously have in the pipeline new graduates that are going to be graduating fall of 27, spring of 27, or spring of 28, summer of 28. They keep going on and on. So that is going to affect all the universities of Georgia, the whole university system. They do not want to have that happen. They want that income. They want, the programs to continue to run. So if we reach out to them and alert the presidents of these universities, the chancellor's office, to what is going to happen to all of these nursing programs, they're going to be very interested. So I already reached out to the VP of the Government Affairs Office at AU. And if anybody is faculty, if you will alert your president of your university to get the chancellor on this, that would be a very good, loud voice for us. I also wanted to mention the fact that there are other non-physician providers who have the same kind of troubles that we have with the medical board, podiatrists, chiropractors. We should look at making a coalition because there are a whole lot of us. And if we make a coalition, I have heard that this was successful in other states, we might get a lot more accomplished, particularly over time. Like, obviously, we're dealing with this acute situation, but we want more, right? If we do a coalition, I think we could get very far. So thank you for recognizing me.
Yeah, of course, Heather. Thank you so much for all of your comments. The angle of academia, and Dr. Shannon Witten is our director at large, and she is working directly with a group of students right now. We have a program called Elevate, We talked earlier in the call about the different things that UAPRN does. One of them is Elevate, and it's a platform specifically for universities and the APRN student and the new grad APRN. But in terms of the advocacy piece, absolutely. If we can get, and to your point, all of the coalitions, we have recognized, Heather, that the coalition angle is the way to go. We were actually able to get some legislative pass. And I think it's the guardianship for sure, and the Schedule 2. There was a coalition that was behind that body of work. The home health care bill that we did not get passed, that was an effort of a coalition. So we recognize the value of coalition, and we always try to tie those in every time we have new legislation. But you're absolutely right, Heather. That's going to be the piece. And someone in the chat says, I also think schools should take more accountability and provide preceptors for students. That's, yeah, for sure. Spencer, I see your hand, and Dr. Naomi is next.
Yes, good evening. I'm Roxanne Spencer. I am a local home birth midwife in Southeast Georgia. I service over 27 maternal desert in that area. In this area, last year alone, I delivered over 31 moms. I drive up to 2.5 hours for those deliveries. Areas such as Jessup, where Wayne County just closed their labor and delivery floor. Appling County, Pierce County, where the closest hospital is over an hour away. Most of those moms just aren't able to make it. Some are farm hands, and I barter, and not the typical payment route, right? There are several other certified nurse midwives who are home birth midwives who service these rural areas, all the way down to Tifton, where there may not be access to care for a lot of our moms. We're able to take care of newborn babies up to 28 days. So my question is, and forgive me if this sounds really foolish, but why does the medical board have so much power over our APRNs when we have a board of nursing? Why are we not able to take out our nursing practice for all our nurses or registered nurses or LPN or APRNs and have that managed by the board of nursing? If you're dealing with scheduled drugs, where you need a DEA, then yes, there is no question that that needs to be delegated by a physician, because I don't believe that that should be, and people can disagree, but if a patient is needing narcotics, I think that should be forwarded to a physician. That should be their problem. But why aren't our practice acts or what we are responsible for, our scope of practice being controlled by the Board of Nursing? Why are we subjected to medical practice acts that is governed by the Georgia Composite Board? That is one problem, because I think that is probably the root of our issue from what I understand about the law. And Tara is on from the Board of Nursing. I know we did send an email to the Board of Nursing, a group of midwives, asking for explanation of understanding of our scope, because I know there are family practice nurse practitioners here. However, for home birth midwives, it clearly says in the regulations that we are autonomous, right? But it's very narrow in what we're able to manage, right? So when it comes to prescription, we do need a protocol agreement, but our scope of practice, where we're able to operate without a protocol agreement, is clearly written in the rule 41011.02. So I know it's kind of rambling here. So my question is, could we get an explanation from the Board of Nursing what APRNs are legally able to do independently? 2, why aren't we able to take our practice acts, and why isn't it governed by the Board of Nursing? Why are we subjected to the medical composite boards for these acts when we're not doctors? Why are doctors regulating us when we have a operational, competent, educated board of nursing that can look at practice acts and dictate what nurses and APRNs are able to do in the state of Georgia.
And I think, and thank you for the question. I think I heard you say your first name. Hopefully, was it Roxanne? I see you down there.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
Roxanne.
Thank you for the
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
Roxanne. Appreciate it. And Tara, not sure if you're in a position to respond or if Tara is even still on.
Yeah, I'm still here. I think it all boils down to, when it first came to legislators, legislation for, whether this was going to be under the Nurse Practice Act or the Medical Practice Act. You're looking at protocol agreements who are authorizing APRNs to do um, medical acts. And so I think that is why the medical board, it was put in their practice act. But I don't have the answer of, why exactly legislators went that way with it. But that's always been a question. We've always gotten that, question of why aren't APRNs just totally under the Board of Nursing? We do, the Board of Nursing regulates, your scope of practice, but the protocol agreement is sitting under that Medical Practice Act. And until that statute is changed, there's really nothing we can do about that.
And just so you know, Roxanne, that is a conversation that is tied into the larger fight, if you will, towards the full practice authority, and is one of those unique pieces of. And we know APRN is 4 pillars that we fall under, but it is one of those unique perspectives that we need when we talk about fighting for all APRNs. So I appreciate the comment. I know the question probably is not response is not probably holistic in its response, but just know that there is some validity in your comment, and we do hear and understand. I want to acknowledge in the chat. Kendall, if you're still on, our lobbyist, Juliana posted a request to you, Kendall Clark, if you could address the chat. And I see Dr. Naomi's hand is up, and then Eunice is next.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Nancy, for the floor. Heather hit one of the point I was gonna say or talk about earlier, which is the point of collaboration. So I think we're gonna strengthen our cause if we involve other entities, such as the school system here in Georgia. I heard what you said earlier, Dr. Nancy, on what you guys have been doing. But if we can broaden it and get all the schools involved, I think it would be very impactful. Not just the schools, all the specialties that are outside of medical um, license. We can also engage and collaborate with those entities. So having said that, I want to also make a suggestion with those of us that are members. I know Dr. Nelson had said earlier, as far as we need the fund to be able to move our agenda, just like the medical board, medical lobbyists are doing, and I support that 100%. I believe we can tax ourselves. We that are members, we can, get our colleagues that are not members to register, as well as we can come up with a number like how much is it going to cost us to move the needle? How much is it going to cost us to get this ball rolling? I believe that you need money to make an impact. So we can get that budget and then break it down where each member can contribute that amount so that we can at least have the funding that we need to be able to achieve or accomplish our goals. And I also want to get clarification on the time. I believe a lady said you guys are going to start at 7:30. Could you guys explain the exact time? Because the email I got said it was going to be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. But I heard somebody said something about 7:30. I just need clarification on that. Thank you.
Sure. The actual meeting itself, and this is the composite board. By the way, this is not unique to this situation. They meet monthly, and the meeting starts at 7:30. what we're saying is that that particular meeting is the one that has the limited seating. That's about 15 to 20 chairs on any given month when they have their meeting. They certainly don't anticipate every APRN in Georgia showing up. So what we did in anticipation of the space being limiting, and we know all of you have the intention of showing up and showing support for each other and wanting, quote, a place to express and, lend your voice, if you will, the plaza that is across in the map where we place the plaza has a capacity of 3,000. Again, bring your chairs. You can bring your folding chairs, your snacks, your water, all of that. We're just creating a space that we can gather. The media is invited. A podium will be there. Mics will be there. That is the 9 to 12. That is the 9 to 12. So that is a separate location from the composite board meeting, but a space that was designated and created for those who wish to gather, express, bring stories, and so on. And we have invited media to be present. And I see Juliana, our lobbyist, his hand, and we're going to go to
Yeah, I
you.
wanted to add to what you're saying, Nancy. The importance of having it here at the plaza is also so that when you use the plaza, you must reserve it through the Georgia Building Authority. So it becomes a legitimate gathering. And it's also, we wanted to refrain from using anything like a protest or a rally. That's the reason we're using it is a press conference. And a press conference like this is actually, it's approved and there we are assisted by the Georgia Building Authority in setting this up. So it gives more legitimacy to our group coming together and prevents it from appearing to be, like a protest that it's coming to a very peaceful press conference to get our concerns out, but to get information out, have an opportunity for various members to testify, for the media to have an opportunity to ask us questions, and to also to share our information out through the media outlet. And it is if you've never been there, I mean, it's a beautiful location there now, and it's just a couple of minute walk from the Twin Towers where their meeting is going on. I mean, if you're looking out of the Twin Towers, you can actually look down and see the park there.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we reserved it.
And I appreciate you highlighting that and for more clarity, Julia. One thing I did see in the chat was parking. I don't have the map addresses parking, but someone asked about parking. Just use your discretion. I mean, it's Atlanta. And it's Atlanta downtown. So use your discretion, pack your patience, bring your water, bring your snacks, bring your chair. But yes, all of that should be included in details of that. But thank you for expanding on that, Juliana. Appreciate that.
And there is parking right next to there's a street that goes between it and a parking deck that's right next to the Capitol also.
Yeah. Yeah. All righty, Eunice, I see your hand, and Jasmine and Heather.
Yeah, this is Eunice. I was just kind of I've been following this news, and I recently had a meeting with my collaborator who was kind of baffled about this also, and she did tell me that she doesn't think any of the physicians will want to do all the signing for free, and she really doesn't know why they're filing up something they cannot take for free. But my concern is I personally work in Kensington, and I see mostly assisted living patients that their family don't have time to take to the doctors. And most of this facility called me because the doctor walked out of them. They don't have time to answer their calls and all those things. So I don't understand why we are having all this fight with the doctor. I really don't understand it. If other states are getting there so easy, and even in Houston, I have friends who tell me, even though they work for hospital system, they still have to pay their collaborator through the hospital system. They take it out of their pay. So what is the problem? I feel Georgia doctors are just threatened by us. That's the way I see it. I mean, I can have some of my patients right off because some of them literally have put me into most of these other facilities when they move because they don't want to see the doctors after they start seeing you. I don't understand.
Yeah, and I think your comments, thank you for your comments, is resonating with what we've been saying this evening. There was some disconnect with what the needs of the state is and what the the ruling is impacting in terms of access to care. Heather, I see your hand.
Hey, thank you for calling on me again. Just wanted to, someone raised the point about lobbying and uh, collecting money to get things done. And I would like to share with you that my husband is a chiropractor, and the chiropractors in the state have it pretty bad. Their chiropractic association has actually figured out how much it would cost to get some things changed for them. So we could actually get it priced out. There are people who do this for a living who can actually tell you how much it would cost for us to get the things that we want. And if we could get that done, then we would know how much we need to chip in to get our stuff done. And if we, like I was talking about, make this coalition, we can all chip in and get this done. There is a price tag on these things. Um, and I also wanted to share with you, my friend who was a state representative, said that the Georgia Medical Board is very difficult for them to work with. They fight everything at the Capitol, tooth and nail, and they are pretty infamous for it. So, we do have a fight on our hands, and we do really need to consider pricing the legislation that we want, targeting the state senators and state representatives and chancellor, all those people, and getting this changed for us. So thank you. That's all I needed to say.
Thank you, Heather. And I think our lobbyist, Juliana, she probably, you're singing her love language, because this is what Juliana does. Now, I will say, I don't know if we've ever priced it per se, but I can tell you we are challenged with our purse strings, and there is no secret. We talked about this before. And Valencia, I think I saw you unmute your mic. Did you have a comment? Valencia Fleming? Okay, I was just going to say that.
No, sorry, it was a mistake. I
Okay, no worries. Just
apologize.
making sure you didn't have a comment. But so Heather, you're absolutely correct. Dollars and cents all day long. We are, and Dr. Nelson said it earlier, we have 20,000 APRNs in the state of Georgia. Right now at the call, I think at our height, we're at like 200 and maybe 50. At any given moment, a UAPRN has had calls for PAC donations, legislation, and so on. But if there is a resource, Heather, and I know the members of GRC are on the call, and if you have a resource that can price out what it would take to, quote, get us to full practice, I think we take all forms of comment. We take all forms of suggestion. We don't close any forms of communication. But you can drop your information to Shannon. I think Shannon is still on. Dr. Whitten is still on. We'll be happy to engage in that conversation. I see a question from Precious. Can you talk about what was discussed about IV hydration at the meeting, if any? And that might be a question for Tara and Josh.
I think that the general consensus from the medical board is that's kind of the heart of the underlying issue of why we're at today, because that particular subsect of nursing seems to be where a lot of the complaints are coming from, because a lot of the owners, whether it be an RN, a nurse practitioner, or a physician, there's kind of three different scenarios there where there can be bad players, bad actors not running these facilities the way that they're supposed to be done, whether it be a physician that owns a medical spa that only allows an RN to do all the procedures with no real oversight, no H&Ps being done, or an RN owner that is running it essentially as a provider, as a nurse practitioner, and a physician is supervising, quote unquote, but from another state. And then other instances where maybe it's a nurse practitioner owner, but they're doing things that the pharmacy board is really upset about because they're not storing products correctly, or they're not sourcing products from reputable places because they're trying to increase profit and cut costs. So it's a wide and dynamic issue, but it always seems to be the majority of the issues that they're seeing are kind of touching a med spa or IV hydration in some way or another.
You're on mute, Nancy.
Excuse me. Thank you, Josh, for that comment. I want to acknowledge, thank you, Juliana. iPhone 4, is this not a failure of MD oversight on the MD, not on the APRN? Good point. Good point. Let's see, if that is the case, MDs need to take accountability for that. I don't understand why an MD would, and the screen just went up. Let's see. MD would supervise an MP and not follow through with offering supervision. That's true. Okay, and is it Tristy for the hand that's up?
It's Sitsi.
Tristy, thank you. Excuse me. I see your hand.
That's okay, Dr. Herlock. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. And I'm just here, just speaking out on that advocacy piece. I'm a member, I'm certified by the ANP. And every time I renew my certification, they always ask me to contribute to the ANC PAC. And I've never seen that with the BON in Georgia for, for our advocacy issues. Is this something that we can look into? Because it's an easy click if you're asking for money at a time of nursing licensing recertifications, nurse practitioner licensing recertifications. People don't have to think about it. That's an easy source of these funds. With my certification, I don't even think about it. I click the box, I pick a fund, and I pay it, and I'm done until the next certification. This might be an easy way for us to get more money for these advocacy issues, if we could find a legal way to be able to do that.
And
at the time of
you
nursing.
said Board of Nursing, or you said that to UAPRN?
So no, I pay for when I recertify for my nurse practitioner license through the ANP, I do contribute to the ANP PAC, the advocacy
But
committee
you're
there.
referring that recommendation to UAPRN, or you're saying Board of Nursing? I missed that recommendation.
And I don't know what that would look like. That's just my ask, because when I do renew my licenses, even for my RN or my ANP license, there's no ask for that. So is there any way that we can get that in there
And
legally?
I can speak to it somewhat.
Yes.
So the short answer is yes, and that's Dr. Fleming. She's the state vice president. So we are transitioning, and this may be and we're winding down. So I'll take some liberties here to just talk some operation in terms of operations of the organization. We are under a federal PAC currently. We have just actually severed that. The importance of federal versus state PAC is that federal PAC only allows us to accept donations from persons who are registered as members of the organization. We recognize
And their families.
and their families. And their families. We recognize that was a huge limitation for donations and ability to accept donations. So we took the necessary measures. We had that severed. We are now working towards a state PAC. A state PAC is less restricted in that way. Other persons outside of members can donate. With that being said, you can always donate to the organization. You can always donate to UAPRN, and there's different platforms in which we have that on our website. There's a donate button. Now the PAC button, I think, may be inactive as we transition just from the legality of it. But the organization itself, you can always donate. But I love the idea, and we'll take that back to the board to see if there's a way for us to incorporate that as part of your renewal or your annual renewal, having a button for the PAC donation. I think that's an amazing idea. Okay, it is 9:17. I want to respect everyone's time. This has been an amazing dialogue. I think we stayed longer than we did last week, but we wanted to extend the time, recognizing that all of you had a lot of questions. The main focus of tonight was to prepare for Thursday. I think we all have our marching orders. We're going to close it with leadership that is on the call still. If they have any final remarks, any final ask of the audience. And for audience, we just would say to you, we'll see you Thursday. Remember, do not get distracted. Do not get discouraged. This fight is not new to us. We are here for you. We want you to show up Thursday empowered. We want to have camaraderie. We want you to be ready to tell your stories. UAPRN is behind you 110%. So with that, I'm going to pause to allow any leadership members to give remarks before we close it out, sending positive thoughts. Thank you, Lauren. Any leadership comments?
Can I say one more thing too?
Absolutely.
All of your testimony, your concerns, please, we encourage you also to send emails. Look up and see who your state representative, your state legislator is. If you have problems finding that, please give me a call. We'll be glad to help you. But send your concerns immediately to them. Also send it, look up online, send it to the Board of Medicine. Let them know. And I'm not sure, I know some of our GRC team may have those emails, but especially your local senator rep and the Board of Medicine. Okay, because the more they hear, the stronger that message is. And even our Board of Nursing has even encouraged us to say, please ask them to send their concerns to their elected officials as well as the medical board.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, Georgia APRNs, stay engaged. If you have not joined us on social media, follow us on social media. If you have not joined UAPRN, join UAPRN. We'll see all of you Thursday. For those who are traveling, travel safely. Take care. We will see you guys on Thursday. And I bid you guys good night. Take care, everybody.